Hi, welcome to Meet the Employer with CSS Workforce New York. My name is Dee, and we're joined here with Sheena Barnes, who represents CVS Distribution Center here in Chemung County. She's going to go over some openings that they have, eligibility requirements, responsibilities, and so on, and hopefully look forward to seeing you on that application list. Go right ahead, Sheena, and take over.
Hi, yep, so I'm Sheena Barnes and I work at the Chemung Distribution Center in Waverly, New York. And we are currently hiring for first shift and second shift. We have several positions available. We have the ones on first shift are order selectors and stockers. So it's more of a manual labor. You're on your feet, you're physically exerting yourself all day, lifting up to 45 pounds as an order selector, 75 pounds as a stocker, climbing a lot of stairs too. Occasionally you would run out of work and have to move to a different floor. So there are some stair climbing. Second shift, we have many positions open. That seems to be our harder shift to fill. So we do have the order selectors and stockers on that shift, but we also have a lot of fork truck positions, which are less manual labor, and the forks obviously do the majority of the work. So you'd be traveling around the warehouse and moving product around basically so that our stockers have product to provide to the order selector, and then they would provide the product to the shipping department, which we're also hiring for shipping on both shifts. We do need loaders and palletizers. So a palletizer, again, is more of a manual labor, up to 75 pounds. And then the loader runs a fork truck, and they basically lift the pallets that the palletizers built, put them into the trucks, and then they would be shipped to the stores. The positions pay $14 and $14.50 to start. At 6 months, we do give a dollar increase. So it's a pretty good starting wage, especially for this area. And in most of the positions, all of the positions basically except for shipping, you would have an ability to earn more money as well. So all of our positions are performance based, and the faster you work, the more money you make. So it's kind of an extra bonus. Some of our associates make $80 to $100 extra per week, just in incentive pay. So it's very nice. And benefits are great. So around the 45th day, full-time associates are offered every benefit possible that you could think of. And then on their 90th day, they're effective. So CVS just bought Aetna a few years ago. So we have all Aetna plans, and they're amazing plans, very affordable.
Are you open for questions at this time?
Yes, I don't know if Steve had anything he wanted to add.
Yeah, sorry, I'm 10 minutes late. I apologize, but my name's Steve Tyson. I'm the senior director at the CVS warehouse in Chemung. I've been with CVS for 27 and a half years, and I look forward to whatever we're about to get into here. Appreciate it.
After 27 and a half years, what's the best part about working for CVS? That's a long stay with one company.
The best part about working for CVS is that they, from my aspect, is that they promote from within and they give people a chance to grow within the company. Be able to move up. I started, and I apologize, Sheena. She's heard the same story 60,000 times, but I started as a case picker in New Jersey in 1993. On second shift, pulling a pallet jack, wearing a steel toe hat, or a hard hat and steel toe shoes. And 25 years later, I became a director and running my own building. That's roughly about 1 million square feet with over 500 employees.
Did they offer training to you, or is that something you just grew into those roles?
Yeah, no, they offered, we have what we call a pre-sit program that I went into. which is called pre-supervisor and training course. That back in the day, it was I had to do it on my own time. It was like two sessions a week for like 2 hours each session, and they gave us leadership skills, leadership courses, and then that kind of escalated once you complete the pre-sit program. Then I was able to become a group leader, and from a group leader, which is still an hourly person, then you go to a supervisor, and in that supervisor, they put you in a SIT program, which is called a supervisor in training program, that you have a mentor that's already a supervisor. And the same thing when you go to be a manager, there's a MIT program that's a manager in training program, and you get a mentor, whether that mentor is in your building or in another one of the 19 distribution centers that we have. And they're there, and they're there for any questions, and they're there to help you. And we have what we call LearnNet courses within CVS that allow us the ability to develop ourselves through courses that are out there for the entire CVS network.
So how does someone go about applying for a position exactly?
So they can go to our website directly, cvshealth.com, click on careers, and they would search Waverly, New York, and then they would see all of our open positions, and then they can hit apply and then get right in. We are constantly screening our website and looking for new people that applied, so we could reach out to them immediately, and we would do a phone screen. And then after the phone screen, we would actually set up an interview with one of the supervisors. So based on the phone screen, we kind of gauge where are they interested, like what position were they most attracted to, and then we would pair them up with that specific supervisor to kind of give them a little bit more information and elaborate more on the position.
So is there a process? Say I get hired to be a picker, but then I realize as I start that there's another position that I'm more interested in. Is there a process for that? Is it possible? Is there a waiting time before I can switch positions?
Yep. So once hired and the associate, they're working and they decide, yeah, this might not be the best choice. Maybe I would prefer stocking. Say they were a picker. So what we do ask is that they make it through their first 90 days to understand the functions and really, get a grasp on that position. And then we could do cross training, or we do have a bidding process where they could bid into a different position. It is based on seniority mostly. If the bid is an interviewed position, then seniority would not matter at all. It's all skill. So there's lots of opportunity, and like to Steve's point, to grow with this company, there's so much available here.
So our programs work with many individuals that are just as involved as their backgrounds. What types of people would you allow to be hired in that environment? Is there specific roles they could or could not hold depending on their criminal background or their history?
Yeah, so once the associate or the candidate applies, they would then go through the background check and the drug screen. So the parameters around that typically are 7 years for, a felony, 2 years for a misdemeanor, but, some offenses do have to go into an adjudication process and be thoroughly looked at. And then the board would actually decide that. So we unfortunately don't have any control over that here. It would all be at a corporate level that would determine that.
Okay.
And I should mention too, I don't know if we discussed, so they do have to be 18 to apply. No high school diploma is required, but they do have to be 18.
I have a two-part.
And they have to be, I'm sorry, and they have to be willing to, I compare this job, it's somewhere between being a cash register at Dandy and waiting for a customer to come up and registering and ringing them up for a hot dog and a slice of pizza. So it's somewhere between that job and the guy that digs a trench 4 feet deep, 50 feet long to put in a gas line. So it's somewhere in between there. And basically, I mean, the folks that come and that are working here, they're on their feet all day. They're walking. Some of our pickers will put upwards of 15,000 steps, 20,000 steps on their little pedometers that they wear. So it's a rewarding job because, you know, we pay for performance. So if pickers are producing more than what is expected of them, then they get that benefit, and we pay a certain percentage over the performance standard of 100%. So we have some pickers that have been here for, you know, 9, 10 years, and they're so accustomed to the section they're in that they hit 125%, and they max out an incentive every single week. So.
Yeah, so candidates who apply to these positions definitely have to not be afraid of physical labor. As I mentioned earlier, the jobs, you know, picking and stocking are very manual. So with the heavy lifting, to Steve's point, so many steps involved, you know, you're walking miles a day. So they definitely have to be willing to put that extra work in for those positions.
And when we're taking people around or we're talking to people, and, you know, we show them what we do here. Obviously, before COVID, we were able to bring people in and walk around with them. And, you know, I tell them some of the things that I just mentioned, and then they say, well, that's too hard. There's no way that I'll be able to do that. And I say, there's 150 people doing it right now. So if you're half motivated, you can fit in and do it just like these other 150 pickers that we have that are making performance and helping us out at this building to service well over 1,000 stores, because we pick product for 2 different facilities and we ship it east and west every single night to those facilities.
Oh, and they won't need a gym membership.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people say. They come here and they lose weight. So it's great.
If I recall, I took a tour through the plant once, and it's a very clean, nice plant, but it's not climate controlled. So if it's hot outside, it's going to be hot. And if it's chillier outside, it's going to be chilly. But those folks are working very hard. I saw a woman working, I think she was packing medicines out of a refrigerated area onto a conveyor belt. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody's hands move that fast in picking things and then packing it, shipping it right on. It was a process that she was definitely very good at. So her face was nice and red. She'd been working hard.
It's really about the repetitive motion. So, you know, because we have people that come in here and then, you know, I'll meet them in the orientation on their first day. I'll speak to them about, you know, my name's Steve Tyson. I'm the director. I'm a regular guy. I put my pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. And I say, you got to get through the first 3 weeks to a month, because no matter what you did before, your body's going to be sore because you're using different muscles to do the work that we do here. So, and then we do a 3-week check-in. Sheena and I sit down with the folks after they've been here for 3 weeks, and we check on how the training was, how are people treating you, how does your body feel, how does your feet feel. So, you know, we try to be as personable as we possibly can with the employees. So, thank you.
Yeah. And we do a lot of engagement here. Even with COVID, we've gotten creative and figured out different ways that we can still, you know, engage with our associates and be in touch with them daily. So whether that be food, you know, Steve does a lot of free food days where we buy food for all the hard work. So we do a lot of 10 hours a day here, a lot of overtime. So we want to reward them and let them know, like, hey, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for sticking in here with us. And you know, basically our goal is just to get that head count up so that way we can start lowering those hours. So the volume is still always going to be there. We still have to service the stores. So we just need to really get some people in here that aren't afraid of hard work, and we would reward them for doing so.
So during COVID, did you have to lay off anybody, or did your staffing levels stay basically the same, but you just lost people because of different things that were happening?
Yeah, CVS is not one to lay people off, that's for sure. We haven't laid anybody off in this building in 10 years. And our staffing, we were close to 600 employees prior to COVID. And now we're lucky if we're at 518. So the store count that we have is about the same, but the
Mhm.
headcount that we have isn't the same. Hence the reason why we're working more hours and we're trying to get more people into the building. There's actually 79 stores that are being overridden to New Jersey and Rhode Island out of this building, because if we had those stores, we'd be working 12 hours a day. And when I first got back here, this building came out of working 12 hours a day for several years. And one of my commitments, not a promise, but a commitment, was to keep these employees out of those 12-hour days, because that just burns people out. And we've really stuck to that. And, you know, we will work some Saturdays once in a while. I think this year we may have worked 2 or 3 required Saturdays in 2020. But we do work, you know, during the week 10 hours, and I try and keep that at 10 hours without exceeding that amount. And if we have to push routes or not deliver stores and push them out a couple hours because we can't make it, then that's what we do. So.
Mhm.
So what is the daily dress code? So, all right, I come, I get interviewed. It's my first day. What do I wear? And I'm guessing already comfortable shoes is a must.
Absolutely.
But regardless of, is there any kind of safety goggles that you would recommend? Some places they say steel-toed work boots. Like, is there a dress code that you want people to follow? And does the public transportation, does it still go there to the CVS distribution center? So I guess it was a two-part question.
Yeah, that's okay, Dee. So yes, during orientation, we would go over all of that, what to wear. And basically our motto is comfy and covered. So you just want to make sure that you're able to move around throughout your shift, because you are, you know, walking so much and lifting and climbing stairs. So you definitely want to have comfortable clothing on that's not restricting your movements. And to your point, yes, a comfortable pair of sneakers. Sometimes people bring 2 pairs of sneakers and they switch them out at lunchtime just to, you know, break them in, because it is so much walking. And then the bus. Yes. So we do have a bus that comes and they drop off in the morning and then they come later in the afternoon. Sometimes though it's a little bit difficult because we do work longer hours some days. So the bus might, you know, be a little bit off schedule. So that's definitely something that we have looked into. So we do have a program called the Rideshare program. So our associates definitely can connect with that and see, you know, what's available. If they are not going to be getting out at the time that the bus is coming, they can connect with somebody to see if they can carpool or get a ride through that program.
Do they typically know that prior to, or do they find that out during their shift that they may be staying later?
So it's every day. Oh, go ahead.
A lot of that, we kind of know the day before, you know, what our volume, like I know right now we have to pick 612,000 for tomorrow. So if I go out there and say, hey, tomorrow's going to be a 9-hour day based on the volume and half decent attendance, that would all work out. But if tonight we have a conveyor go down and we're not able to pick for 3 hours, that's going to put us behind. Or when second shift comes in today, they normally have 3 pickers call in, but tonight, for some reason, the bachelorette's on or something, and they get 13 call in. That's going to be a different issue because we're not going to pick as much, right? So, you know, we try and do a best guess on what we're going to be working the next day, but a lot of that is dependent upon the attendance and the performance of the other shifts and their shift, actually, and also how many people actually make it through the day. So, you know, if somebody leaves early, you got to just figure we pick about 650 pieces an hour on average for every picker. So if we're working 10 hours and one picker calls in, we could just do the math real quick and know that we just lost 6,500 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're fully staffed and we're running and moving and shaking in the building, I guess is a good word for it, we're producing over 50,000 pieces an hour. You know, if you take, like today we had, hold on, let me go to the sheet here, 1 second. Today we had 6 pickers call in this morning, one person out of pharmacy, and 2 equipment operators. So the pickers are the biggest deal because that's where we have the biggest amount of our people. 6 isn't bad. That's an average for us. But earlier in the week, we had 11. We had 13. So that kind of pushed us behind the 8 ball a little bit. And we've just been gradually catching up ever since then. But what we always try and do is feed that volume Monday through Thursday, and then try to do our best to reduce the hours. Everybody in the building knows I'm an 8-hour guy. I'm an 8-hour Friday guy. We haven't seen that in a while because of COVID and the staffing, but we would work 9 hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday they knew that they would be out on 8 hours. And then COVID came and everything went haywire. So it's a little bit difficult now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But we did work 8 hours last Friday.
That's right.
Progress.
Progress.
So I have one last question then, and I don't know if anybody else has any. From start to finish, just to get a time frame, how long would it take to start that orientation from the moment I apply for me getting hired and starting orientation? What would you say the time frame turnaround time?
So it could be as quick as a week. Depends on the background checks. So those are basically what we always have to wait for those to clear. So typically it's 1 to 2 weeks for people to get in here from the time that they apply to doing the background check, doing the drug screen. There is some paperwork to do after everything clears. It's called onboarding. It's basically just verifying their information, putting in direct deposit, whatever that might be for how they want to be paid. And then we would contact them and let them know, hey, you can start orientation. Orientation is always on a Monday unless it falls on a holiday. And it's typically 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., so about 6 hours. And then they go home. And then the next day is when they would start their actual shift and training. And then they would train for about 2 weeks, hands-on with a trainer. And then they would be released. If they needed more training, we would definitely provide that to them.
Are associates eligible for a referral bonus? So if I refer a friend to CVS, am I eligible for like a bonus?
Yeah, and our referral program is probably by far the best. So currently it's a $400 payout. So if you refer somebody and they last 90 days, you're going to get $200. And then if they last 6 months, then they're going to get the other $200. So occasionally Steve gets a little bit crazy and bumps that up to a little bit more than that. But yeah, it's definitely a great way to get people in here. Our associates are great at that, referring candidates that come in and have worked out really well. So it's a great program we have here.
Mm-hmm.
I, for one, am out of questions. Kelly or Devontae, do you have any other questions?
No, I think I've hit almost everything that I was thinking about while I was doing this. Like I said, I've had a tour of the facility before, so a lot of my questions were answered during that. It is a beautiful place. It is a big place. Like you said, I can see losing at least 50 pounds right away walking through that every single day if I was doing that job. Definitely the type of job somebody who wants to be physical every day and doesn't want to sit in an office.
Correct. Yep.
Well,
and the day goes by fast too, you know.
I
So
appreciate. You of course it goes by fast if you're keeping busy.
Yep.
I appreciate you both coming to our Meet the Employer. You'll be seeing this posting a lot. And let everybody know that the best place to apply is on the website at CVS Health. Correct? Am I correct in saying that? CVSHealth.com?
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And put in Waverly, New York.
And put in Waverly, New York for the Chemung Distribution Center. Thank you so much. And I'm going to have Kelly stop the recording.